She didn't cry when the handcuffs clicked. She didn't deny the messages. She didn't say it was a mistake. Instead, standing in front of detectives, a 30-year-old teacher said something so shocking it froze the room. "People come after me because I'm good-looking." Not innocence. Not confusion. Not remorse. What followed would expose one of the most disturbing psychological distortions ever documented, where a trusted educator rewrote reality, turned a child into a villain, and believed her beauty made her untouchable. This isn't just a crime story. It's a warning. The arrest and the first lie. On a quiet evening in Illinois, police approached a parked car. Inside sat Christina Formella, a special education teacher and school soccer coach. Someone parents trusted, someone students admired.
At the station.
The officer spoke
Christina
calmly,
is in handcuffs.
asking her to step out. She looked confused, even mildly inconvenienced, as if this were all a misunderstanding that would soon be cleared up. There was no panic, no urgency to explain herself. Just quiet confidence. When questioned about explicit messages sent to a 15-year-old student, Christina didn't deny they existed.
Yeah, we're gonna explain everything to you guys.
Instead, she offered an explanation so implausible it stunned investigators. She claimed the teenager had somehow accessed her phone, sent messages to himself, deleted them from her device, and saved them as leverage. It was an elaborate story, but what stood out wasn't the lie itself. It was how comfortably she told it. Then came the statement that would define the case.
So right now,
Christina leaned back and said, calmly, almost casually, that people always targeted her because she was attractive.
With these messages, Christina
According
doesn't
to
deny
her,
sending
this
them.
wasn't an investigation, it was persecution. She wasn't a suspect. She was a victim of jealousy, of misunderstanding, of her own appearance. In that moment, investigators realized they weren't dealing with denial. They were dealing with something far more dangerous, a person who genuinely believed reality bent around her. The illusion shattered days earlier, inside a family home. A mother was setting up her son's new phone, transferring data from his old device. As messages synced, something unfamiliar appeared, deeply personal texts filled with emotional intimacy no adult should ever share with a child. Words of affection, dependence, possession. The sender was instantly recognizable. It was the boy's teacher, his coach, someone the family had welcomed into their lives without hesitation. Law enforcement moved quickly. When confronted, Christina stuck to her story. She wasn't responsible. The student was obsessed. He manipulated her. He framed her. She portrayed herself as kind-hearted, overly caring, someone whose empathy had been twisted against her. But digital evidence doesn't care about narratives. Phones don't lie to protect egos. When investigators accessed Christina's device, they uncovered something far more disturbing than messages, a detailed written record hidden in her notes app. It wasn't a confession. It was a diary. And in it, Christina didn't write like a criminal trying to hide. She wrote like someone documenting a romance, one where she cast herself as the betrayed partner and the child as the manipulator. If this story feels unsettling, stay with it. What comes next explains how situations like this happen and how easily warning signs are missed. The notes read like a breakup journal. Christina accused the teenager of cheating on her, of stringing her along, of emotionally damaging her. She wrote about initiating breakups, about being the best thing he would ever have, about refusing to be a second choice. At one point, she even scolded herself, not for crossing boundaries, but for letting a 16-year-old treat her that way. It was a complete psychological inversion. In Christina's version of reality, she wasn't an adult abusing power. She was a woman wounded by love. The child wasn't a victim, he was the one with control. She used language usually seen in adult relationships, stripping away age, authority, and responsibility. Her writing revealed entitlement, resentment, and a stunning lack of empathy. Even more disturbing was how intentional it all appeared. She referenced waiting until after her wedding, until after his graduation. Life milestones carefully planned around an inappropriate relationship, as if legality were a scheduling inconvenience rather than a moral boundary. This wasn't confusion. It wasn't impulse. It was sustained delusion, reinforced by documentation. Investigators pieced together a timeline that matched her writings precisely. The relationship began when the student was 14, recovering from an injury, struggling academically, vulnerable. Christina stepped in as support. Tutoring turned personal. School platforms turned into private messaging. Games became gateways to isolation. Each step followed a pattern: increased access, emotional dependence, secrecy. When boundaries blurred, Christina framed it as care. When concerns arose, she dismissed them as misunderstanding. She positioned herself as the only adult who truly understood him. Over 2 years, the behavior escalated, dozens of encounters, most inside the school during hours when she was meant to teach. Hundreds, possibly thousands, of messages. Photos saved. Calls logged. The digital trail was overwhelming. Meanwhile, Christina lived a parallel life. She planned a wedding, posted smiling photos, took a honeymoon. To the outside world, she was thriving. Internally, she was documenting resentment toward a child she believed owed her loyalty. When arrested, she appeared in court holding her husband's hand, still composed, still performing innocence. Even then, she insisted there were 2 sides. But evidence had already closed the book. Judgment, impact, and the real lesson. Charged with 55 felony counts, Christina now faces decades in prison. The judge denied requests to loosen restrictions, citing the severity and calculated nature of the conduct. Her freedom is limited, her career destroyed, her reputation permanently altered. But the deepest damage isn't legal, it's psychological. One child's trust was dismantled. A community was shaken. Colleagues questioned how they missed the signs. Parents reevaluated assumptions they never thought to challenge. This case forces an uncomfortable truth into the open: appearance, charm, and authority can disguise harm. Society struggles to see certain people as capable of abuse and predators who understand that bias can exploit it. Christina believed her looks protected her. That belief fueled her actions and ultimately exposed her. Because reality doesn't bend to self-image. And documentation doesn't forget. What made this case spread so fast wasn't just the charges, it was Christina's confidence. Even after arrest, even after evidence surfaced, she carried herself as someone wronged, not exposed. Her belief was simple and deeply revealing. People didn't see her actions clearly because they were distracted by how she looked. And for years, that belief worked. Colleagues trusted her. Parents never questioned her access. Students saw her as safe. This is where the real danger lived, not in secrecy, but in plain sight. Christina didn't hide behind shadows. She hid behind perception. Her appearance, her professionalism, her smile became a kind of camouflage, allowing boundary violations to blend into normalcy. And that's what makes this case so unsettling. It forces a confrontation with an uncomfortable truth: Predators don't always look threatening. Sometimes they look familiar. Sometimes they look trustworthy. And sometimes they know exactly how to use that to their advantage. If this story changed how you see trust, authority, or manipulation, take a moment to reflect and talk about it. Awareness is often the first step toward prevention. Some stories aren't meant just to be watched. They're meant to be understood.